Welcome to the new SEC podcast. We're super excited. We got an extra special guest here, Brooks Austin, the film guy from the Film Guy Network, now partnered with On3. So, Brooks, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm doing good, man. Normally I don't start doing content until the afternoon because I'm awake and I got to get going, and then I really start to hit my stride in the afternoons. But that's getting thrown out the window now. We're nice and warmed up. I've already had a cup of coffee this morning. We're good. Hell, I've even popped us in this morning, so we're all right. We're good to go. We're good to go. Ready to give some takes. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, let's cook. I love it.
Yeah, fired up to talk about it. I got my coffee here. We're ready to roll. A lot of the talk that you've been doing and we've been doing lately has been around the SEC quarterbacks. There's a lot of new names. A lot of the battles that we saw kind of coming into fall camp have been announced, kind of surprised there at Vanderbilt. Some guys that you're high on, some that you're lower on. Do kind of kick it off here with some of these first-year quarterbacks. And like I said, there's many of them. Who we all think is going to have the best year. Start with you, Brooks. Of the first-year guys, I know you're high on Keelan. Which is going to have the best year as a quarterback himself, kind of aside from the team component?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is probably going to be Keelan Russell. They got such a great defense over there at Alabama, and I think they're going to be put in a decent position at the quarterback position. I also love what Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb do offensively. Love their identification processes at the quarterback position. All their dudes that they take played at a really high rate. They don't just survive off traits. They're not RPOing their way down the field. These guys do a great job developing quarterbacks at a high rate for even Sunday play. I think that's what Les Snead fell in love with Ty Simpson, right? So these guys do a great job. The questions about them and everybody knows it. It's like, can you run the football? Can we protect our quarterback? I think they did a lot of great stuff from identifying the issues standpoint this offseason, right? A lot of coaches, I even feel like this was Steve Sarkisian, a lot of coaches look at problems and they're like, oh, it must be players. Let's just fix the players. Let's just get new players in here. Let's not change anything staff-wise. Let's just get new players. Alabama did the new players and the new coaches. They fired the offensive line coach, brought in a brand new one from the NFL ranks, and was like, all right, let's actually address the issues. Let's not just try to put Band-Aids on it with new players. So I think things are going to be a little bit better up front for Alabama this year. It's hard not to like what Josh Heupel does offensively and expect Faison Brandon to have a lot of immediate success, not only because he's immensely talented, but look, a lot of people get that Tennessee offense confused. Right? They think it's based off throwing the football. They think it's based off explosive plays in the passing department, but those guys run the ball, man. That's what they do. Since Josh Heupel has been there, Tennessee has never been outside the top 3 in rushing yards in the SEC. And this is a conference that if you can run the football, you're going to have a lot of success, and they always run the ball. So super excited to watch those two young football players. And everybody else, man, really already kind of has playing experience, right? Except for Blaise Berlowitz. But Philo's got over 100 career attempts in his career. Philo has never, not once, prepared to be the starter, right? Like when you're playing behind Haynes King, you're a snap away. You're a snap away from that guy being carted off the field. So they were always prepping him to be able to play. I mean, he gets thrown in his freshman year against NC State and has to go out there and play. And he plays really well. And then the year 2 out there at Georgia Tech, it's like at any moment you might have to be the guy. So he's ready to roll, and obviously a lot of continuity with Buster Faulkner down there as the offensive coordinator. But everybody else in this conference is totally different than it was a year ago. A year ago, it's like Arch Manning's first year starting. It's Gunnar Stockton's first year starting. It's Ty Simpson's first year starting. It's like you go across the board in the league.
Austin Simmons, Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, it's Trinidad Chambliss. If it wasn't him, it was Austin Simmons' first year starting, right? Like It was a bunch of brand new faces and like guys that don't have experience. And you look at it this year, and it's like all of those guys return, and Sam Levitt comes into the conference. He's played a lot of ball, right? So we're in a different era of quarterback play than we were just a year ago from a standpoint of experience. And when I did my Big Ten quarterback rankings and I did my SEC quarterback rankings, I'm like, man, it's 1 through 11, 1 through 12. It's a lot of knowns in this conference, where out there it's a lot of seemingly unknowns. So except for at the top, the Big Ten top of the quarterback play is elite, right? When you look at Dante Moore, Julian Sand, Josh Hoover, They got a lot of dudes that are really good quarterbacks, but I think it also coincides with their conference right about now. Hell, even Jaden Maeva. I think it coincides with their conference right about now, where it's like those 3 teams at the top and then everybody else fighting for scraps. That's what it feels like up there. But that their top is damn good, right?
Yep.
Like the Oregon, the Indianas, the Ohio States, man. They can certainly win a national title this year. There's no doubt.
Definitely.
And even as you talk about guys that have experience that are coming in with at least some experience, it was good at the end of last season to get to see Kamario Taylor against a really good defense in Ole Miss. So you can kind of get a feel for, I mean, he's not going to play many defenses better than that throughout the year that he kind of had to face there at the end of the season, and looked really good and poised doing it, which, looking at your 11, put him over Marcel Reed, which we could talk a little bit about, because I know we've been a little Marcel Reed positive over here, but Kamario Taylor, I think if you put him on a different team, he could even be the guy that overperforms. If you had him at Alabama, it's just, they've done good things at the O-line, bringing in 2 new guards for him. They got Anthony Evans, they got Marquise Johnson over from Missouri. I like Kamario Taylor kind of look really impressive, talent around him be damned, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've said this offseason, I think he's the most talented and traitsy quarterback the wide choice has ever seen, right? Like Hendon Hooker ran it at a great rate. Don't get me wrong. Hendon Hooker's a good football player. But Hendon Hooker ain't this, right? Yeah. Like Byron Brown's a great football player. He's a great runner of the ball. He's a freak athlete, all that good stuff. But there are limitations as a thrower. You look at Dylan Gabriel during his time at UCF. Like Dylan Gabriel's a good football player, but Dylan Gabriel's 5'10", maybe on a good day. So this kid at 6'4", 230 pounds, his ability to run the ball, his development as a true thrower of the football is what's fascinated me, though, because watching him at the Elite 11 in high school, I was like, ugh, I don't know, man. There's a lot to work on right here. We got to fix up a lot of this stuff. And he did it. To his credit, to his work ethic, like we have become a very refined and pure thrower of the ball. It looks great. The ball jumps out of his hands. So this probably is the most gifted football player we've ever seen in this system. If it doesn't work out at Mississippi State this year, if it doesn't look great, it's going to be all right for Kamario Taylor because he's going to be a very rich man in the transfer portal, I would imagine. Look, I know people, when Mississippi State fans hear that, they're like, he's never leaving us. He had opportunities to leave us out of high school. I think that was a lot of people looking at Kamario the same way I did, where it's like, hey, great athlete, we got a lot of refinement left in this football player. Let's let him go to Mississippi State and let's see if he refines the traits. The traits are refined now. And and again, if it's not great this year, he's gonna make about $7 million in the portal. I think he will be the most tampered with player. If we look up midway through October and November, and it looks like they're on track for 4 or 5 wins, he will be the most tampered with player in all of college football, apart from JKS out there at Cal. Like those 2 guys, their agent will be beating people off with a stick about midway through October.
It kind of makes me think about another quarterback in the conference that has a very similar athletic profile who's stayed loyal to South Carolina, right? You look at LaNorris Sellers. You said it last year, or you said it on your show. You kind of had him in your Heisman race. That didn't pan out. We know how bad the O-line was. We know that Kendall Briles has come in. What are your thoughts on Sellers, putting him top 5 ahead of Sam Leavitt with your 50% what they've done in the past, 50% what you think they're going to do this season?
Yeah, first year I watched him in 2024. I'm like, man, got a lot of traits here. We're winning off a lot of traits here. We're gonna have to refine this a lot. But you would see him grow week to week. And then last year was a debacle. And I probably shouldn't have been as heavy on him going into the year because I probably should have paid attention a little bit more. Like, yeah, great. We're hiring this guy with NFL backgrounds and we're promoting him from in-house. That's all good and fine and dandy, but the coordinator that they hired last year, and I've crapped on him enough, so I'm going to avoid saying his name. The coordinator that they hired last year had not called offensive plays since 2016, and he had never called plays in college football. That should have set off fire alarms in my head. I probably should have not been as heavy on him as I was. And the offensive line had been a problem at South Carolina for a long time. So those concerns and be aware of these things when you start talking about him. I probably should have last year, but even when you go back and watch last year's tape, like some of the refinement that I was seeking and wanting to have happen for him, you could see it. He almost became robotic in his mechanics and almost was like he was making sure that everything was right instead of being a free-flowing football player. And, that can be dangerous at quarterback. We can be stiff and robotic would be the word. And I'm hoping here in 2026, Kendall's allowed or, going to allow him to play a little bit more free while also being a little bit more disciplined in his mechanics, like meld those 2 seasons together. And then we'll ultimately have a successful season here in year 3 as a starter. But there's no denying the physical traits there, man. Like that guy is supremely gifted, not only as an athlete, but as a thrower of the football too. Like he can get it done. But no, Kendall, I think Kendall too is like going to be happy to be back in his normal like skill sets and what he normally does, right? Like we spent 3 years at TCU with a quarterback who's not very athletic, and Josh Hoover. Like he's good enough. He's a modern quarterback, but he's not this, right? He's not a design quarterback run guy. And that's when the Briles system works at its best, right? Like you go all the way back to the Baylor years. It's like RG3 can go, right? Yep. So those were great seasons for both Kendall and Art offensively. And then you go to Arkansas, and it's like this KJ Jefferson guy is an absolute tank, and nobody can really get him on the ground. And nobody really stopped that Arkansas offense, if you guys remember, back in 2021 and 2022. The only team that really gave them problems was that Georgia defense. And I'm here to tell you, they gave everybody problems except for Joe Burrow. So, like, they gave everybody smoke. So, no, I think it's a good pairing, right? Like, and a good match or a good marriage for both of those, both offensive coordinator and quarterback. So, yeah, I'm bullish on that. Let's address the Marcel Reed stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We got a big A&M fan base here, so let's hear it.
Yeah, no, I mean that was the one that everybody gave me smoke on, and I think it was, and I even said it. Nobody watches the lives when you put those things out; they just read the reaction or read the rankings and then they react to it. But even when I announced him at 9 in our show, I looked at the guys. I was like, "This feels disrespectful. This feels disrespectful to even have him at 9. This feels really low." And I got some phone calls from A&M people afterwards, doing everything to me. But anyways, it does feel low, and I'm with you. But I also think that he was put at a disadvantage last year from a standpoint of offensive identity, like what they were doing. And if you watched our film breakdown of him this year or this offseason, you would see that like they did no play action rollouts with this guy. They didn't move the pocket at all. And it's like, why are y'all asking this kid to be Drew Brees? Why are you playing him like he's Julian Sand? Why aren't you playing him like he's Marcel Reed? Why aren't you manipulating the launch point? Why aren't you getting this guy on the move? Why aren't you stressing defenses with his legs? Why does he have to scramble 6 times a game to get to 65 yards rushing? Like, why is that? So when you hear the offensive coordinator that they hired this year, you hear his first press conference, he's like, we're going to get Marcel on the move. We're going to move the launch point. We're going to use this kid's legs a little bit more. We're going to tailor this offense to his skill sets. I'm like, okay. All right, that's what I wanted to hear. Those are good news things for my ear to be taken in. So I do think when we look back at the end of the year, that might be one of those ones that we're like, damn, the old film guy had him in 9. Look at this idiot. So I'm prepared to be wrong there. I hope I am wrong. Look, I like Marcel coming out of high school out of the state of Tennessee. Yeah. I like Marcel's background. Marcel's dad coached college football for 15 years. I'm not like every kid has to be a coach's kid, but when I hear that you're a coach's kid at the quarterback position, I like you a lot more than guys who aren't, because I know you've had high levels of conversation about football since you were playing football. Like you've been coached at the right rate. So I'm hopeful and bullish that like I get made wrong on that one. Also, like they didn't have an X last year.
Right.
And when you don't have an X wide receiver, like they had great slot weapons, they had good tight ends, had a good offensive line. I felt like they underutilized the running back room at times last year, but there were things that when we don't have an X wide receiver, it does not make math easy for the quarterback, right? Like when I walk to the line of scrimmage and we're 3-by-1 and I got one receiver over there outside the numbers and he's getting single one-on-one coverage, that makes math easy. I'm going there. You know what I mean? I'm starting there. And if it doesn't work, I'm working through my progressions from there. They didn't have that. everything was in between the hashes. Everything was in between the numbers. And when that's the case, windows get really tight.
Yep.
Interceptions can start to increase a lot, right? And again, so there was a lot going against him last year. And I think with the addition of Isaiah Horton, with the offensive coordinator understanding, hey, this Brooks Austin guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe we should move this guy around a little bit. Just kidding. But no, I think that one's the one that I'm going to be made to look wrong on, and I'm hopeful that that's the case.
Yeah, to your math on Isaiah Horton, I mean, 6'4", 208, like you have now a 1v1 downfield winner.
Correct.
But like getting him moving in the pocket, I mean, you had 3 guys 6 foot or under that were speedsters. You move that, you extend the play a little bit. They're going to get open. They had time when they have time to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think the critique is partially, I mean, he has the propensity to turn over the ball and make some kind of boneheaded plays here and there, but a lot of quarterbacks do. To the usage a little bit on him, 51 design runs in 2024 to 36 last year. I know it's a smaller frame guy, which looks like he bulked up a little bit this offseason. So hopefully to see a little bit more of that.
Sorry to cut you off. I also think the backup quarterback situation had a lot to do with that, right? Like in his first year playing, he wasn't starting. He was flip-flopping between him and Connor Weigman. Yeah. Like we feel like we can run this thinner frame football player because we have another quarterback. Right. So I don't mean to like get on here and shit on Colin Klein. Like that's I think that's inappropriate for me to do, but I also understand why, right? Like you don't feel like you can run the guy because if he gets hurt, your season's over. Hopefully their backup quarterback situation this year is a little bit better.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like there was a lot of like I always go back to like the LSU football game, and I know they blew the doors off LSU in the second half, but we get in the red area and it's 1st and 10. And we're like, instead of running the football or using the quarterback's legs, we're like, hey, 3-step drop. Let's read stick and nod right here in the red area. And don't forget that safety might leak over and the field's condensed. And now we throw another interception and we throw 12 on the year. And it's like, it's because I think you're asking him to be a pure progressive passer. And I don't think that's what he needs to be. And hopefully the offensive coordinator this year gets it better. You guys, where are those advanced stats coming from? That's dynamic. Who's y'all stats guy?
It's all us. We're just going deep cuts.
We talk these guys a lot, so we just kind of pull the stats up, keep some notepads over here. But
I mean, it's one of those things with Reed, like 25 passing touchdowns last year. You saw him have turnover problems against South Carolina and turnovers problems against Miami. It's in those big games against tough defenses where he's kind of collapsed, right? And I think that's why a lot of people are hard on him this year. But he's top 3 in a lot of SEC statistical categories coming into the year.
Yeah, he had a lot of bad turnovers against Texas too late in that football game. So if we can clean that stuff up. And they're like, again, the turnovers against Texas are 1st and 10 turnovers. It's like, that's not the time. It's not the time. 3rd and 11, I'm fine. Not all interceptions are created equal. I've always said that. Yeah. But some of those, it's like, dude, why are we forcing the issue right now? It's 1st and 10. Live to fight another down. Like it's so again, a lot of that stuff I know he's been told, right? He's been told since he started playing quarterback. So I'm hopeful that it gets cleaned up, and I would imagine it does.
Yeah. And I like Ruben Owens, Jam Morrow. I really like KJ Edwards. So excited to see him get some playing time here and see how he can kind of evolve into this committee. You're high on Trinidad Chambliss, as is pretty much everybody. I think he caught a lot of teams off guard last year. They didn't really have an answer for him. People couldn't catch him. He plays some of the best defenses you could face this year. He's going to go against, Colin Simmons in Texas. He's going to go against Georgia, who wasn't great at getting sacks last year, but got pressure on quarterbacks, especially late in the season. Oklahoma, we know what they do. Our team's going to start to figure him out a little bit, or does he have a non-figure-outable, non-game planable game? I mean, it's the headset does one thing, when you're a coach, but some of that stuff you can't coach the way that he extended plays last season. Do you think it's unstoppable, or you think people are going to start to figure him out a little bit?
Look, I've said this a couple of times this offseason, and I do not mean to be demeaning towards Division II football. Okay, I'm a Division II football guy. I played 5 years in Division II. I understand it's high-quality football, especially when I was playing, because there was no transfer portal. If you got in trouble, Tyreek Hill was beating my ass at West Alabama. Okay, like that's how it used to happen. You didn't just get to sit, go somewhere and end up at Mississippi State after you got caught with 9 ounces of weed driving 110 miles an hour with 3,000 bands on you. Like, that's how it happens nowadays. Used to, your butt was in the Sun Belt Conference, or so it used to be a little bit different. But no, why I say that is because I do believe in second year starting growth, right? It's why I believe Gunnar Stockton is going to be a little bit better. I think there's still some room to grow here with Trinidad somehow, some way. It seemed like he played perfect last year, but we're also playing our first year of Power 4 football. Like, we went from playing at Ferris State and playing Valdosta State in a playoff game to playing Georgia in a playoff game, right? And we look like we were unflappable at times.
Plus,
so I do think there are going to be signs of even better like play at the quarterback position for this kid, because we are going into year 2 as an SEC starter. So we did lose a lot, but there's also a lot to gain here from an experience standpoint, right? So everyone talks about the coaching staff leaving, and that stinks, and that's not good. But, they got Joe Judge, who, I don't know if y'all know this. You guys know this, but I don't know if it seems like everybody doesn't understand that. Yeah, Joe Judge didn't work out as a head football coach in the NFL with the New York Giants, but he was good enough as an offensive coordinator to be hired as an NFL head football coach.
Right.
He kind of knows ball. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a dummy. All right. John David Baker called good offense last year at ECU. Now, it was, if you watch ECU last year, which I just got done watching Caden Hauser, they were a wide choice system.
Yep.
So I don't think that's what this is going to be. So John David's going to have to get back to calling plays in a Lane Kiffin-y-ish way, which he's got background doing, right? He was the tight ends coach at Ole Miss for 3 years before he went on to be an OC at ECU. So there's good coaches left over there. My bigger concerns are we lose 5 of our top 6 receiving candidates from a year ago. A tight end, 3 or 4 wide receivers. Deuce Alexander returns, which is a great football player. But we replaced Dazon Stribling, Caden Lee, and the Wallace kid with Jonte Cooks and another wide receiver from Syracuse. And it's I don't think that's the same quality of cat. So those would be my bigger concerns. Also lose 2 offensive tackles. So a lot there to replace, but we still got Kiwan. We still got Trinidad. We still got Deuce Alexander. I think that 3-headed monster is good enough to scare any defensive coordinator.
And it goes to a bigger question when you talked about the cast around Ole Miss. Of these 11 quarterbacks, I mean, we could even open it up to Philo at Florida and more. Who do you think has the best cast around them to be successful?
That guy, the last one, the Philo cat.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Philo believer. I know Florida fans are like, wait a minute, he just talked this guy up and he didn't make the rankings. It's a deep group. It's a deep group in the SEC right about now. But it's going to be hard to fail down there unless the offensive line is just absolutely abhorrent.
Yeah.
They do have the best skill sets, I would argue, in the country. I don't know of anybody that has Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown, Eric Singleton, and Jaden Ball. I don't know of anybody that has 3 wide receivers like that. Those will all be NFL football players, by the way. And Jaden Ball, who is a top 3 running back in the sport for my money. So, like, who's got that? The answer is nobody. Who's got that and a top 5 offensive coordinator in Buster Faulkner for my money? The answer is nobody. So it's going to be hard to fail down there. Again, unless they just can't keep him upright. Because he's 6'3", he's 220 pounds. He's a good enough athlete. But he's not going to like, oh my God, the right tackle just got beat like a drum. Watch me make a play. Like, right. I don't think that's this guy. I think this guy's a pure progressive passer. I think he plays it at a high rate. But, one of the SEC staffers that I talked to the other day was like going into their, like, let me scout Florida type offseason moment. And we're having conversations about Florida. And the number one thing he said about Philo is, I think if we get this kid off the spot, he'll make bad decisions. And probably a little bit right, from that standpoint. But I also think he's a guy that if you watch his tape at Georgia Tech and even his stuff that's coming out from spring ball and fall camp, a lot of turnover worthy plays.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is like he trying to fit balls into tight windows instead of, just living to fight another day. Whereas like the quarterback that they had last year down there at Florida, that's a Baylor Bear now. That guy would come off the field with the sideline with the palms up, being like, "Coach, I didn't even see that guy." I had no idea he was there. I hit him right in the face mask, and it went back the other way. Those aren't these types of interceptions. Philo throws, I'm trying to give my guy a chance interceptions, and some of that we can pull back. It's hard to coach out the I didn't see him interceptions. I'm not reading the field properly. Oh, my God, the hook curl defender just got me for the 5th time today. Like that stuff normally doesn't get, waxed out of your game unless we just spread you out in the empty and make everybody play man. Like at that point, we read it really well. But no, I'm bullish on Philo, but more bullish on the weapons for sure.
Yeah, one thing on Philo at Summerall was like when they were deciding between the two guys, one of the things he had mentioned was how he kind of won the job by being really good at reading the middle of the field. So I went back and was watching Haynes King, 27% of his throws short center of the field, 41% off of play action. You got a guy like Ball back there. You're starting to keep linebackers honest, starting to keep safeties honest. They're going to bite down. That gives when you have the weapons around you, the supporting cast like Philo does. Now all of a sudden, reading that middle of the field gets a little bit easier because you got weapons.
I love studying Buster because like the more and more you watch him, everything looks the same. He ties his run game to his play action pass game, but everybody does that. Yeah. But he also ties his run game into his screen game. It's miracle stuff to watch. Like I don't know why everybody doesn't steal from this cat. I mean, they're running like short boundary tunnel screens, which everybody does, but they also give counter action away from it. So as a front side inside linebacker, your job's to run the alley and make that tackle on tunnel screen, but you're also getting counter action that makes you pull guards and like you're reading guards like footwork. So you're reading through the guard to the back to the quarterback. That's what most linebackers are taught. And we're getting a lot of conflicting information on top of all the eye candy that they do pre-snap. That guy's a genius.
Yeah, and you saw that 2 years ago against Georgia. He was giving them fits with all these different receivers and backs, just running little short dump passes, getting 5 to 7 yards every reception. Taking it to 6-7 overtimes. I mean, he's definitely got.
He turned Haynes King into a 72% completion percentage guy. What?
Right.
Like wow. Yeah. So it's impressive.
Yeah.
12th best offense last year. So in the nation.
With like the 45th best roster. So
right. Last question here, and then we'll get out of here. This one comes from a buddy of mine. Wanted to know your opinions on this when we heard we were doing the show, and injuries you never want to see them. Hopefully, there's no injuries at all, but we did see one last year that led to Trinidad Chambliss. So we talked about kind of being the phenom, the story of the year. Any backup quarterbacks in the SEC that you think, knock on wood, shouldn't have to happen, but if it does have to happen, have the propensity to be the next phenom that takes off?
I loved watching Landon Clark at Elon last year. That guy is dynamic. They obviously have a mold at quarterback when it comes to that offensive brainstem. If you're 6 foot, if you're 190 pounds, if you are twitched up in the mechanics, like it comes out really, really quickly, and you're a dynamic athlete, you're an LSU Tiger nowadays. Like that's what it's going to be. So all those guys have like very similar skill sets to Trinidad. If you look at them, right? Like it's Sam Levitt, it's Landon Clark, it's Hassan Longstreet. Like they all kind of have the same mold. The Austin Mack tape's not bad. I'm going to be honest with you. Like he does everything at a relatively high rate. I would say he's like an A- across the board. So if something were to happen to Keelan, they're going to be all right at the quarterback position. But that's Alabama moving forward. They're always going to have a really solid quarterback with the way that they recruit him and identify him. Tramel Jones gave him a sweat, right? Like Tramel Jones gave Philo a sweat down there at Florida. So he'll be all right. But outside of that, like I don't think Georgia knows their backup quarterback. And that's scary because Gunnar Stockton feels like he gets shot with a damn 12 gauge every Saturday at least once. So that's concerning. But it's not really normally if your quarterback goes down, normally it's a death sentence for your season's totals. So there's not a lot of situations around college football where that's the case. And that's due nowadays to the transfer portal, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Lane always finds a way to get 2-3 deep. I mean, even 2 years ago with Jackson Dart, he brings in Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State. Dart just ends up winning the job, but he seems to always have a couple guys ready to go.
Yeah, especially now that you can just have a bottomless budget. Guys, they've got about $11 million tied up in their quarterback room.
Crazy. Hassan Longstreet
they gave Levitt north of $6 million, and they gave Landon Clark like $900,000. They gave Hassan Longstreet north of $1 million. I would imagine, like,
yeah,
they got resources. I talked to an Ole Miss coach a couple, like 18 months ago on the high school trail, and I'm asking the question you're asking. I'm like, dude, how many quarterbacks do y'all need, right? Because they took Trinidad last year, and they took another kid out of the portal. They had like 5 quarterbacks. And the lefty from high school, it's like, not Austin Simmons. They had 2 lefties in the room last year, but it was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, y'all need offensive linemen, y'all need linebackers, y'all need all kinds of stuff. And he told me his story. He said, honest to God, I could walk into Lane's office and tell him, hey, if I don't have another body, I'm not going to be able to practice this year. And he'd look at me and go, tough shit, we're taking a quarterback. It's just like, it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
It's the way they operate. It's like, if I got a dude at the quarterback position and if I've got multiple, we're going to be all right because of me and what we do, what me and Charlie do. So, like, I get it. I understand. Like, as long as he was there, right? He was there for 6 years at Ole Miss.
Yep.
They didn't have a top 3 round offensive lineman drafted his entire time he was at Ole Miss. Think about that. He played in the SEC, and they led a lot of categories in offensive football.
Yep.
And never once had a blue chipper on the offensive line. That's insane.
I was looking at the stats.
They have
5 out of 6 years, they finished top 6 or higher in rushing yards too per game on the year. So yeah,
with NAD, not a dude up front, just not one.
Yeah,
it's something.
They build an offense, like it's an offense that's friendly and works, and you could put damn near anybody back there, it feels like, and be fine. So I like your take on Landon Clark there. Any other thoughts before we get out of here? Any hot takes? Anybody who's gonna, like, you think underdog to win the SEC? Anything else?
Even if you want to go like 8, Big Ten quarterbacks, your Elite 11 versus your Elite 11 for the SEC. I mean, hot takes, or just even comparing the quarterback list. What you got?
If it were 2004, Drake Lindsay would be the number 1 quarterback on the NFL draft boards. But he's 6'5", he's 240 pounds, and he can't move a muscle. So it just don't happen for these guys no more. But again, in 2004, an NFL GM would have been licking his damn chops. Like, oh my God, look at this guy. Look at this guy. John Gruden would be all over it. But no, I don't have any. It's such a tough time in college football nowadays from a predictive preseason analysis standpoint. It's like there's so much parity across the board, man, especially the SEC, because there are 7 rosters in this conference that are north of 30 million, a lot of money and a lot of talent on their rosters. So it's so hard. I do think the SEC is going to cannibalize itself just a little bit this year. But no, I think, from a hot take standpoint, A, I'm not that guy. B, it's so hard to sit here and be like, I feel like I'm going to put my life on this one. Oklahoma plus 3,000 for national championship odds is interesting to me.
Okay.
That's kind of juicy. Yeah. If I were to take preseason national championship odds, I'm not betting on like plus 600. Like, I'm going to go find some juice. And I think the plus 3,000 odds over there at Oklahoma are a little bit undervalued.
If you do it on a Hard Rock Bet, right?
Look at this guy, friend of the show right there. Attaboy. I see you.
Plug.
I'm gonna send you a Venmo after this.
Let's go. Look, I'll give you the QR code. Well, Brooks, man, thank you so much for joining the show. If you guys like content like this, game previews, game recaps, special segments with guys like the Film Guy, tune in and subscribe to the new SEC podcast. Brooks, let them know where to find you and what to expect from your show.
Yeah, you guys put it right there at Brooks Austin BA on all social media, and then come join the family over there on the Film Guy Network after you subscribe to the new SEC podcast.
Let's go.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Appreciate you being here. As always, I'm Hunter Ziesman, joined with Randall Leggett Jr. We appreciate Brooks Austin being here. We will catch you in the next one.